We are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not.
You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds.
We need Greenland for national security.
Greenland. Greenland.
Greenland.
Greenland. Greenland.
Greenland.
How did this ice-covered island suddenly become the center of world attention? Why is the United States so obsessed with Greenland? The real reason is that it is more important than minerals, oil, or American security. So important that it could change the entire world order. Welcome back to English Zim TV videos. Greenland is the largest island in the world near the North Pole, 80% of which is covered by a thick layer of ice. By the way, in terms of area, it is larger than Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and Indonesia, but the habitable area here is so small that only 57,000 people live in the whole of Greenland. That too on the coast where there is very little snow. Talking about temperature, minus 30 degrees Celsius is normal here, and in the northern parts even minus 50 is a daily norm. Summers here only last as long as winters in the Middle East, 10 degrees at a stretch, that too in the scorching sun of the day. How has the icy land of Greenland, which is so cold that it freezes the blood, become the center of a cold war between the world's superpowers? American President Donald Trump has even said that we must make Greenland a part of the United States at any cost, even if it means resorting to a military operation. Trump has repeatedly sought to acquire Greenland, and this move by Trump has geopolitical experts worried. Greenland is certainly a part of the North American continent, but politically, it is an autonomous region under the control of the Kingdom of Denmark. Donald Trump wants it to become part of the United States of America. But let me also tell you that Trump is not the first person to have expressed such a desire. The United States has always considered Greenland an integral part of its national security. Until 1867, Alaska was also part of Russia, and then the United States bought it for a mere 2 cents an acre. Because America has wanted to maintain its rule in the Arctic region from the beginning, at that time, for the first time, an attempt was made to buy Greenland and Iceland, but the American Congress blew up this plan as a joke. Then in 1910, U.S. President William Hurt Thwaites tried to acquire Greenland, but this time too, he failed. The real turning point came when the Germans occupied Denmark in World War II. At this point, the United States took over the security of Greenland so that Nazi forces could not build their bases there. After the war ended, in 1946, American President Harry Truman offered Denmark $100 million in gold and asked for Greenland in return. Denmark still refused to sell the land at that time, but gave the United States enough permission to build its military bases there. One thing is clear, Donald Trump's approach is definitely wrong, but he is not the first U.S. president to try to acquire Greenland. If we look at it, there are several reasons behind Trump's harsh tone. After the arrest and occupation of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, he has further increased his pressure on Greenland. One reason for this is that from a national security perspective, Greenland's location in the Arctic is such that it is located in the exact center of Russia and the United States. From a military perspective, whoever holds Greenland will automatically have better control over the entire Arctic region. But there are already American forces in Greenland. There are still around 10,000 American soldiers in the Bedford Space Base there. So what is the threat to them? Actually, Greenland is in the hold of Denmark, but the people living there have long wanted their own separate country, that is, independence. And Denmark is not a powerful kingdom either. They give half of their budget to Greenland in the form of funds, but despite this, there is no army there. Trump is afraid that if Greenland becomes independent tomorrow, he may demand the removal of American bases there, or increase the rent greatly. Only then does the U.S. want full control of Greenland to come into their hands. The second thing is that Greenland does not have its own army, it has the Danish Defense Forces, which Trump thinks are quite weak. Trump has sarcastically said that he will protect Greenland with a sled with 2 dogs. Of course, Trump's words may be true to some extent, but the whole world doubts his intentions because America's past empire has been like this. They attacked Iraq under the pretext of weapons of mass destruction, but in reality nothing was found there. In 1964, the United States invaded Vietnam under the pretext that Vietnamese ships had attacked the American ship USS Maddox in the Gulf of Tonkin. But in 2005, the cover-up was blown, and it was discovered that no such attack had occurred. In 2011, the United States targeted Libya, claiming that Colonel Gaddafi was committing genocide there, while many experts believe that Colonel Gaddafi actually wanted to end the dollar monopoly by creating a gold dinar currency. All this was done to stop this new currency. So, looking at history, this time too, it is being understood that by occupying Greenland, the U.S. wants to seize not only security but also other resources, using the pretext of the threat from Russia. Security aside, Greenland is one of the few places in the world that has large reserves of rare earth elements. These minerals are so important that they have been called the oxygen of future technology. The average ice layer in Greenland is 2 kilometers deep, and since this ice is millions of years old, there are bound to be unexploited resources here. According to the Geological Survey, Greenland has the 8th largest reserves of rare earth elements, including neodymium, which is used to make magnets for electric vehicles and turbines, gallium, which is used in AI chips and radar systems, uranium, which is used in nuclear energy, and silicon, which is useful in making semiconductors and solar panels. All of these elements are essential for our future technology. You will be surprised to know that China currently controls 90% of the world's supply of these minerals, and recently, China has also imposed limits on the export of these minerals in order to put pressure on Western countries. It is also true that in the coming time, the one who has control over these minerals will be considered the most powerful. This is also one of the reasons why Trump wants to break China's monopoly by acquiring these minerals from Greenland. Needless to say, but according to the survey, there are 31 billion barrels of oil reserves under northeast Greenland alone, and you can estimate for yourself how much oil there is in the rest of Greenland. Security. Apart from rare earth elements and oil, internet security is also a big reason. As you know, the world's internet and communication system runs through cables laid under the sea. Greenland's location is such that the cables that run from here connect America and Europe. Russian ghost vessels have often been seen near these cables, and the United States fears that in the event of war, Russia could cut these cables and disrupt the communication system. They believe that if Greenland is in America's hands, these cables in the Arctic Ocean between Europe and America will also be safe. Also, if you look at the globe, Greenland is at the top of our world. There is a B-2F space base here, where there is a UEWR, i.e., upgraded early warning radar. It can detect any intercontinental ballistic missile coming from Russia immediately after launch. If this missile were fired towards the US, it would not pass over the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, but over Greenland. This means that if the US does not get a hold of Greenland, it is a direct threat to the US mainland. And the most important reason that no one is talking about is the new trade route. For centuries, humans have been looking for a route that could connect Europe and Asia as quickly as possible. In ancient times, ships could sail across the entire. It used to be necessary to go around Africa or South America, then the Suez and Panama canals were built, which turned months of travel into weeks, but the route to the Arctic Ocean was always blocked by ice, and this route was considered impossible for cargo ships to cross. Now, due to global warming, the centuries-old ice of the Arctic is slowly melting, creating a new sea route called the Northwest Passage. For example, if a ship wants to go from China to London, it will have to travel about 9,000 kilometers less through this new Arctic route than through the Suez Canal. This means that not only will millions of dollars in fuel be saved, but 10 to 15 days of travel will also be saved. So in fact, this is not just a matter of Greenland, but also of controlling this new route. The country that controls this route will be called the gateway to the world's global trade. Russia has the world's largest Arctic Ocean coastline and wants to tax its way there. As for China, it wants to build a polar Silk Road here. Now the US fears that if it lags behind, the key to global trade will fall into the hands of Russia and China, which is a nightmare for the US. Greenland sits at the entrance to this entire new route. If the United States becomes the owner of Greenland, it will act as a toll plaza for this new sea highway. And that time is not far off. According to estimates, in the next 10 to 20 years, the ice will melt further, and the shipping industry will start turning to the Northwest Passage. But if the US acquires Greenland, experts believe that this issue could spark a new war in global politics. How? Denmark is a member of NATO. The Danish Prime Minister has clearly said that if the US tries to forcibly seize Greenland, it will be the end of NATO. NATO's basic principle is that an attack on one ally is considered an attack on all. If the US occupies its own ally Denmark, NATO allies could fight among themselves. If Trump succeeds in his plan and Greenland somehow comes under US control, the implications for the world will be extremely serious. First, America will become the world's sole Arctic supreme leader. Second, the centuries-old trust between Europe and America will end. Third, America could become the uncrowned king of minerals, which would deal a serious blow to China. Fourth, mining in Greenland could change the ecosystem there, the effects of which could affect the entire world. And fifth, the local people there will lose their centuries-old civilization and freedom. While the melting ice of the Arctic is opening up new paths, it is also creating new dangers for the world. And if this happens, a new mindset will emerge in the world, like that of World Wars I and II, that whoever is strong should attack and occupy the weak. It is not wrong to say that whatever decision is made in Greenland will be a decision for the entire world for the next 100 years. Whether it will be a decision of peace or World War III, only time will tell. I hope you will like and share this video of English Zim TV. Thank you very much for your loving comments. See you in the next wonderful video.